feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank. When it's sink or swim, only option is to win.
Hello, I'm Brad Berger. I'm joined with my co-host Dan Whedon, and today's guest is Rusty George of Rusty George Creative. This is the Seattle edition of the Shrimp Tank podcast, and this is our post-interview wrap-up that we're doing. And I know that, Dan, you had a couple of questions from some highlights of the conversation that we just had with Rusty.
Well, Rusty, we had a conversation during our regular interview on the podcast about the change in marketing in a digital age. Marketing and branding have changed dramatically, even just in the last 10 years, and have become much more digital. What should a business owner know regarding that in their own marketing?
Well, Dan, we are now being exposed to more information in 1 week than the average person living in 1850 was exposed to as an entire lifetime. And so just doing a commercial or a print ad is just not going to cut it in this day and age. It really depends on your ambitions and, what you're wanting to do and your goals. And to just expect to do the same kind of advertising that was done 20 years ago is going to make you not only make you irrelevant, but it's going to, you're not going to be seen. You're not going to break through that clutter. And so a digital campaign is not necessarily just a Facebook, just creating a Facebook page and then hoping that your employees, your family, and a couple of friends are going to like, and then that's going to be the big campaign. There's way more to do with that.
So real quick, on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it for a small business owner to really dive headfirst into that?
It isn't 10. It isn't like, okay, I'm just going to do digital. You have to do a comprehensive, holistic campaign.
Pick one.
What number?
Yeah, for me.
I would say about a 6.
Okay.
Definitely more than half.
And I know that you talked a little bit about that, and in fact, a lot about that during our interview during the podcast. One of the things that I found really intriguing about the conversation that we had is that as a CEO of Cornerstone, one of the things that I'm always looking at is not necessarily where our next client's going to come from or where next year's client's from, but what I'm really concerned about is where our clients 10 years from now are going to come from, and always staying on the cutting edge of the evolution of our industry, as well as the demographics and the clients that we meet. You talked a little bit about that. Could you expand upon how important it is for companies, entrepreneurs, and business owners to be incorporating that thought process into their marketing?
Well, what I was trying to say is that it's not about tactics. It's not about the next shiny object as far as marketing. It's all about really kind of defining what is your distinct, unique proposition, what makes you a little bit different, and kind of distilling down what makes you the thought leader in your industry. It's about kind of specializing and finding a way to be able to market through giving people your knowledge and then letting them come to you, not necessarily going out there and trying to just, bait hooks all the time. It's all about kind of developing a way to talk about your business so that your passion, your commitment, and the why you're doing what you're doing and why they should actually come and work for you should be more important than just kind of the what and, talking about what you do.
It's always amazing on how fast these sorts of interviews go, and we had an excellent, intriguing conversation with Rusty over the last 45 minutes. We want to make sure that you catch that. For everybody watching, though, Rusty, I know an area that has to be included on your website is some of the community engagement and things that you support. Tell us a little bit about how people could learn more about Rusty Creative and all the great work that you do, not only for the community, but for your clients.
One of the drawbacks of doing, advertising and graphic design is, you're always working on annual reports with a bunch of info things for financial planners and stuff. And, the creatives are always wanting to kind of spread their wings and do fun things and give them kind of more of a sense of a purpose.
So how do they get a hold of you?
rustygeorge.com, and you can find out about our grants program if you're a 501c3. We do one nonprofit a year where we do everything from their their initial logo, their messaging, all their assets, all their website, video, anything that they need in order to make their communications more successful through smarter branding.
Well, I want to thank you, Rusty, for joining us today, and my co-host, Dan Whedon. That's going to wrap it up for our edition today. Be sure to visit us at seattle.shrimptankpodcast.com, where you can learn about upcoming shows, listen to the podcast that we just recorded, and hear more as we go forward to inspire and inform you about entrepreneurship and being a business leader. Until next week, we'll sign off and see you next time.
I've been feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank.